Welcome back to episode 4 of Locked Out of Europe. I'm visiting the Sega Saturn once more here, and this is the third time that I've done this on this show now. But there will be a growing trend of this because I have lots of Japanese Saturn games and they're relatively easy to film. We'll be doing more and more of these and doing scratchings of other systems as we go along. But in Japan there is a wealth of Sega Saturn games that didn't come out over here. The system actually did far better in Japan than it did anywhere else in the world. Outperforming the N64, I believe, as well. But this is Assault Suit Leynos 2, which is the sequel to a Sega Mega Drive game that came out in 1990. And that was also released in America under the name of Target Earth. So this is the sequel to that game. And this one was released in February of 1997 and is exclusive to the Sega Saturn system. Now, how best to describe what this sort of game is? It's like a 2D side-scrolling mech sort of shooting game. There seems to be sort of a tactical element to this game, and it's quite Japanese heavy when you first start up. The story naturally is all in Japanese, so I didn't really understand what was going on with this. And the startup is also all in Japanese, so I'm pretty clueless as to what's going on. But it is actually quite easy to get into this game, which is the most important part. That with all these sort of import games, you really want to be able to get to the meat of the gameplay quite easily. This certainly falls into that category, that it is an easy game just to skip through the story bit, get straight into the action. So it presents you with creating a save file at first, and then it throws you into the action itself with a little bit of rudimentary story going on as soon as you start out with your carriers all up in the air, dropping the mechs down onto ground level, where you start the primary battle mechanic of the game. I tell you what this reminds me of, actually, sort of retrospective point of view, is I don't know whether any of you are familiar with the Josh Prod Dreamcast releases that have been coming out in the past couple of years, but they seem a lot like the design for those sort of games. The inspiration has come from this particular game, aesthetically and also gameplay wise, for some of those games that have appeared in the last sort of 5 years for the Dreamcast. So sort of when I jumped into this, I kind of felt a little bit like familiar with it, even though I'd never played it before this point. I gave it like a little test just before this video, just to make sure I could actually get into the game, and then reset it and start the video for you. But you've got the ability to sort of walk on the ground here as you mech. I believe you play the blonde dude in it, and then the other two people are sort of telling you various different instructions and hazards or whatever, perhaps they're even telling you how to play the game, I'm not sure. But so you walk around with the D-pad until you start encountering enemies. You've got your allied mechs down with you as well, which I think help you fight. And then you've got a radar system which is in the bottom left of the screen. So once the red dots come up, that's your enemies, and these are the ones you're going to have to fight. You start off with ones that are on the ground, basically like mechs, and then sort of tanks as well. And then you get like aerial enemies as well, which drop further mechs onto the ground, or you can shoot them while they're in the air still. The level's quite basic in its premise. It is essentially just going to the right as far as you can until you encounter a boss. And that's pretty much as simple as it goes, certainly for this first level. It seems like quite a difficult game in my view though, because looking at your primary weapon, you've only got a set amount of ammunition and reloads before that weapon runs out. And when I played this, I thought that you couldn't get any more weaponry. I'd encountered the first boss at the end of the level, and it turned out that you can actually change your weapons with the three buttons just above the A, B and C, so the X, Y and Z will change the weapons to different ones. There was a sort of spread shot shotgun, which, although it doesn't have very good range, was helping me sort of towards the end of level boss. I did still die though, so it is quite a difficult game, but it seems to be you've got a resource management before you get to the final boss. The C button provides you with a shield, so if you've got oncoming fire on you, you can press the C button and it will absorb a lot of those bullets. I believe the top left is your health gauge, which looks like it regenerates over time, unless that's your shield. might be your shield is the green bar, and then sort of the semicircle perhaps is your life bar. Either way, I got finished off pretty quickly. You can press the R button, which basically causes you to do like a rush mode, so you can speed up through things, and also the B button does a jump, which also gives you like a sort of a boost and jetpack. So it's got some fairly cool elements to the game itself, and graphically I quite liked it as well. It's certainly not the Saturn's proudest moment, but the Saturn does excel in 2D, and this is no different to what you would expect from other 2D games on the system. I enjoyed it. It's well animated, and it's quite visually striking, so that is good. And the sound wise, music's pretty good. Nothing really to write home about, nothing like amazingly catchy, but it's cool enough and does the job that it sets out to do, as does the sound effects. But this game itself isn't particularly pricey, if I'm being honest with you. It's quite an easy one to obtain, and it's relatively cheap. You can have this for under £30 at the minute, which I honestly think isn't going to stay that way for a long time, because it is a good game. It's very accessible and very playable, and where we didn't get it over here, I have a feeling that people will start cottoning on to the fact that this is a hidden game in the libraries for Japan for the Saturn, and want to obtain it. I didn't know anything about it before I bought it, and I was quite pleased with the gameplay and the game itself. So if I can make a recommendation for you whether you should import this game, I think so. If you're into sort of like your 2D style games for the Saturn, then I think you will quite enjoy this. There's not too much going on, it's not too intense. Certainly resource management with your weaponry is the way to go, but other than that, you can have quite a good old time with this and not really think too much about it, and well worth picking up while it's cheap. So that's this episode, and catch you in the next episode. I'll see you later. Bye.